If you have played Monster Hunter, you have probably encountered many different beasts. Some of them have their uniqueness, but today I want to discuss one in particular, the Rajang. When hunting a Rajang, it has three forms. The normal one, just as you meet it, the second, where he gets enraged, and his last one, where his arms are hardened. If you get to do enough damage to get him to the third state, you have probably seen this bewildering scene. Now that's quite something. When I first saw that, I was shocked at how powerful this particular monster was. Throwing back a hunter with just a roar is a big enough of an achievement in the Monster Hunter universe. But how strong would this be in our world? For this, we need to understand what is sound? Sound by itself, it's a wave that travels through a medium, air in this case. This wave will significantly drop its power the longer it travels, which makes sense. In Monster Hunter World, the Rajang won't throw you back if you are far enough from it. So from this, we'll learn that the Rajang's roar must be a quick burst of energy that quickly decreases its power. However, sound by itself doesn't move objects. Or does it? Turns out, the science behind this is way more complicated than that. Sound by itself can't do much on its own. However, for sound to even exist in the first place, there needs to be a medium for the sound to travel, and something that creates that sound. It cannot simply be generated out of nowhere. For example, we humans produce sounds by blowing air from our lungs through our mouths and then moving our tongues in a certain way to make different sounds with it. So technically speaking, we're creating sounds, yes, but it's just a blow of air. And the same principle applies to every animal that can produce a sound, including, of course, the Rajang. So now that we know that the blast of air and sound are the same, we can begin to compare them to real world examples. The most basic one is a human just screaming. Depending on the person, a scream could go anywhere from 70 to 120 decibels. This is enough to be annoying, but not even close to being harmful, much less move something. If we go a level up, we'll find a gunshot and a plane at around 150 decibels. This is enough to cause ear damage to a normal human. However, it's still not close. We can feel the air moving quite hard in an airport, but it's not enough to throw someone off. We need to go further. And here we get to probably the loudest sound humans can produce: a rocket during its launch. This reaches 200 decibels, which would kill anyone standing near the launching platform and cause small vibrations 3 miles away from the launching station. We have finally found our competitive point. Or maybe not. If you recall from earlier, Rajang's roar won't throw you unless you're close to it. A rocket sound is powerful enough to have small effects even 3 miles away from it, and Rajang, at best, has 30 or so feet, which is not even a quarter of a mile. So we need something louder than a gun and a plane, but not as loud as a rocket. So what could it be? A building collapsing. There are no exact studies about this, since the noise would depend on the material it is made of, how tall it is, the layout of the building itself, among many other factors like temperature, pressure, blah blah blah. But this is no way physics class, so I won't be counting those. So, if we assume that a 20 or so story skyscraper made mostly out of metals like iron falls on a place with nothing around, this could theoretically go anywhere from 150 to 190 decibels, approx. So there it is. We finally have it. If we assume that the collapse of that building goes around 170 decibels, we'd have our perfect, real, live comparison. However, the video isn't over yet, and that's cause if you have been paying attention, you might have realized that I said that a gunshot and a plane are very harmful to the normal human ears. So how does the hunter not only can take a sound 20 or so decibels higher, but also not suffer any damage from it? And also, sound doesn't quite work in the way that the Rajang uses it. In real life, you'd hear its roar from at least a mile away or so. And yet, in game, hunters that are just somewhat far enough won't even hear the roar at all. Not only that, the roar would be so powerful that it would collapse any cavernous structures that the Rajang might find itself on. Then what? Is video game logic wrong? Should I not be spending all this time and effort in answering questions that no one ever asked? No, that can't be. There must be something more to it. And here we enter a theoretical point where, nothing is really clear and we're gonna have to do some mental gymnastics if we want the Super Saiyan monkey with a rocket engine inside of it to make any sense whatsoever. So let's solve the question. How does this roar doesn't hurt a hunter when it would kill a normal human? To solve this, we first need to assert the obvious. We are not dealing with normal humans. Hunters in this universe can easily lift and maneuver weapons that not even weightlifter world champions could dream of. In many different situations, we can see them achieve superhuman feats, like falling off great heights and being intact, or eating a family-sized meal in mere minutes. Taking this into consideration, it would be safe to assume that the hunters must be some form of evolved humans, and considering how the hunters would have to endure hearing roars over and over during their lifespan, it would make sense for them to develop a sturdier protection against loud noises in general. The way normal humans deal with protection against loud noises is what we know as earwax. This substance is responsible for covering the hearing system. And with this in mind, the somewhat realistic answer I can offer is that hunters must have evolved to either produce more earwax or for it to be thicker, making it potentially strong enough to block enough sound for the hunters to be able to withstand the loud noises that they face daily. And with this answer, we can also assume that the hunters must be semi-deaf during their whole lifespan. Thank you for your attention. This was Philionor, and I'll see you next time when we both want to know the answer to silly questions that no one ever asked.